ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to BSing Sports on a special episode where we've got Jake Biasato from Talkin 215 on with us. My co-host, as always, is Ryan right there, having a nice sip of water out of his mug or coffee or whatever it is. And I'm Bill. It's great to have everybody here again. If you couldn't tell by mine and Ryan's attire and the photo in the background that you can kind of sort of see is Jalen Hurts, the Eagles have made the NFL playoffs. So that's primarily what our conversation this week will be about. We'll go into some Week 18 antics, and then we'll just break down the Eagles' playoff chances against the Buccaneers here at 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. So, guys, Ryan,
wait. We're not talking about the England Rugby Championships this week?
No.
Oh. I've got nothing for this show then.
All right, bye-bye then.
Jake. All that prep work for nothing.
Yeah, God.
Jake, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, guys. Always a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure to have you, man. All right. So, Week 18 antics. I'm going to let Ryan go off on a little bit of a rant on one of the coaches he's been very high on. I'm going to go off on a rant on a player that I've been very high on, and we're going to let Jake just spitball whatever he wants to do there for a few minutes. So, Ryan, fire away, buddy.
Yeah, so as many of you have heard, Week 18, we had a chance for a potential tie and both teams go into the playoffs. However, the Steelers, unfortunately, and Ben Waterburger fucking will be in the playoffs for another year. I actually want to give Mike Tomlin some credit here before I start bashing teams and whatnot. Mike Tomlin, has dealt with a lot over the last couple of years. The craziness of Antonio Brown. Le'Veon Bell just basically quitting on the team, and Ben Roethlisberger aging like a piece of meat sitting out on the counter. It's just been the whole team really has fallen apart, and somehow, some way, he has never finished with a sub 500 record. So kudos to Mike Tomlin. I don't know how he's doing it. Back to the topic of Brandon Staley. What are you doing, man? You gotta recognize the situation, and just kind of take what you can get at this point. That's basically what the motto of the rant is take what you can get. There is no reason whatsoever that when the game is tied, you need to call that timeout on 3rd and 4. There's no reason for you to go ahead and try and win the game. Yes, it'd be nice to see Justin Herbert get the ball back. It'd be nice to see him drive down the field, maybe lead to a game-winning score. However, just take the time, man. You would have been in the playoffs, which is all that really matters. I think they would have had a great shot at doing something in the playoffs too. I mean, the Chargers play very well against very good teams. They go toe-to-toe with the Kansas City Chiefs twice a year. So, and it would have been electric to see Justin Herbert in the playoffs, who was probably my favorite quarterback in the NFL. So that would have been really nice from a fan standpoint to see. But that's just unacceptable. I think Brandon Staley needs to be a little bit more aware of the situation and what's going on. And that was a very narrow-minded timeout right there. That was very missed the big picture. It was just egregious, really. And Brandon Staley robbed us of a chance to see Justin Herbert in the playoffs. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say it's entirely his fault. Chargers could have won more games, simply. Anybody can say that at any point. However, given the circumstances and the way that the world works, he will be blamed entirely for calling a timeout as to why the Chargers did not make the playoffs. So, good job, Brandon Staley. Hopefully you do better next year.
Yeah, for what it's worth, that Chargers-Raiders game was apparently phenomenal to watch. I went to bed because I have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning on Mondays to go to work. However, my wife stayed awake and watched it, and she came in the bedroom at like midnight and was like, "You missed a great game."
I think the Chargers were down by like 17 points at some point, and they came back
in the fourth quarter. Apparently, It was a heck of a comeback. Justin Herbert hits 9 4th and 10 or longers to continue the game going the direction that it was going. So again, the team put you in a situation to be in the playoffs, and Brandon Staley, you really, really dropped the ball on that one. Jake?
Oh, and the Raiders were clearly okay with a tie. Excuse me. Quarantine. No, clearly they're okay with a tie. And then you see the lip reading of Herbert where he's like, "Man, I've never wanted a tie in my life so bad." And it's like it was there. I mean, I believe it was Carr after the game or somebody after the game was saying like, "Yeah, we were gonna just run the clock out," and then that timeout completely changed our game plan.
It was the backup tight end for the Raiders. He was talking.
Yeah, he said it to Austin
Eckler. Yeah,
it was insane. You hit the nail on the head. Like just a boneheaded move. Kind of brings us, right over to Nick Sirianni, the greatest rookie head coach of this class. But no, it was a real shame. What you saw out of Justin Herbert the entire game was just incredibly impressive, really all year, minus a few spots here or there. He was incredibly impressive. No sophomore slump for him, and I would have loved to see him in the postseason.
Favre-esque. Justin Herbert reminds me, he can make every throw, and he will try to.
Oh,
and
sure.
I mean, and in today's league, with as fast as defenders are and as quick as everybody is on the field, I think we're going to start seeing more quarterbacks like that. Just the gunslinger type mentality where, like, look, my arm is strong enough. I'm going to fire the ball. And Justin Herbert has shown all season and even last season that he can do it.
Look at the Bengals. I mean, their entire offense relies on big plays. Joe Burrow led the league in interceptions this year because they just pushed the ball downfield. That's the way that offense operates. It's boom or bust over there. That's why Jamar Chase, had some really outstanding games, and then other games he just wasn't on the field.
Yeah.
No, I mean, spot on. Just you're seeing the NFL is getting taken over by these absolute howitzers of an arm again. I mean, you saw it previously, and they kind of went away from it to these more athletic quarterbacks and all. And now you're seeing it just immediately right back with guys, like you said, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, guys that are just willing to absolutely air it out and stretch the field vertically. And it's extremely successful. I mean, you're seeing Burrow is third in Vegas odds for MVP this year as a second-year quarterback. Like, haven't seen a second-year quarterback like that since Carson Wentz.
Well, actually, I'd even say Wentz's sophomore year was a little bit better because Wentz didn't nearly have as many turnovers as Burrow did.
No, it was.
And Wentz's was more built on efficiency, the RPO, getting the ball out quickly, getting it to the right receiver. Whereas, like I said, the Cincinnati, air it out attack was unbelievable.
Well, since you guys brought him up, Carson Wentz. An individual I have been super high on, have sung his praises since he was traded while he was here in Philadelphia. I've been super high, super pro Carson Wentz. The last 2 weeks of the season have all but changed my mind on that. He played absolutely abysmal in a situation against the Raiders where they should have won. And then the performance he went out and gave against the 2-win Jaguars in Week 18 is absolutely pathetic. He didn't try to protect the football. He didn't try. I don't know if he was trying to do too much, but there was no time in that game where he needed to do too much. I don't know why the game plan changed. I don't know why he wasn't just handing the football off to Jonathan Taylor the entire game against a really suspect rushing defense in the Jaguars. So fine, you can blame Frank Reich a little bit, but the performance that Carson Wentz put on the last 2 weeks of this season, you took an 11-5 team and you made them 9-8. That's absolutely absurd. An 11-5 team with the likes of Phillip Rivers at the helm. So Carson Wentz, shame on you. I'm out of your corner. I got my boy Jalen Hurts in the background, who I'm still not super high on, but he led us to the playoffs.
Your boy.
Two quarterbacks trending in very different directions.
They are two quarterbacks trending in very different directions. So I'm glad I got my little spiel out. Who do you got to go against there, Jake, or you just want to fire right away with the Eagles?
No, it's funny. I was going to ask what is there more of? Because I'm not 100%. Phillip Rivers kids or Carson Wentz wins as a Colts quarterback?
Definitely Rivers kids. He's got 9, I think.
I think Rivers has either matched him or surpassed him with the kids in the wins department. No, I mean it's a damn shame. It really is. Like we've had each other on my show, me on yours. Like we've talked. Like we were fans of Carson in Philadelphia. Like
huge fans.
He wasn't blameless. And it wasn't all his fault. Like it was a mutual problems. The front office did him wrong, and he handled it poorly. Whatever. That aside, like we were fans of him, and we were both talking like, oh, he is going to excel in Indianapolis. In my dynasty league, not the one that we're in, that I won, by the way. In my other one,
I won a league this year too.
I went 2 in the finals this year. Still hurts.
Ooh, brutal. But I traded Russell Wilson for Carson Wentz because I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And like for a while when Russell Wilson got hurt, then he came back, slumping, and Carson Wentz was doing, 10 to 20 range. I was like, this is great. And then, like you said, the end of the season collapse is absolutely unforgivable. Sure, you can blame some of the play calling, but it's a darn shame. Terrible play, terrible final 2 games of the season, and it's embarrassing, really.
Especially when all you have to do is win one of those games to lock up a playoff spot. You didn't need to go. You didn't need to go out and destroy the Jaguars the way the Patriots did the week before. Speaking of which, the Patriots beat the Jaguars 50-10 the week prior to the Colts going to Jacksonville.
Oh yeah.
So that was a very, very vulnerable team running up on the end of a terrible season. And give the Jaguars credit. They put together a solid game plan. They blitzed the crap out of Carson Wentz, knew that he was skittish in the pocket, and they exposed it. And Frank Reich had no answer for it.
You see what happens when Urban Myers is out of there.
The top two spoiler games of the season were the Texans against the Chargers in Week 17, a game that the Chargers easily should have won. They went out and got crushed. And then Week 18, Jacksonville and Indianapolis.
Correct. So Sean Campbell's got a good question. We're actually about to get into the Eagles-Buccaneers stuff. I'll bring that question back up in a few moments. So I'm going to let Jake fire away with the first round of how you would like to assess this game. Don't give us your prediction. We'll go into our predictions of the game at the very end, but give us the scenario in which you see unfolding or what you think needs to happen in this scenario. Jake, go first.
Well, I think a ton of it really comes down to the forecast, and it's turned up great for Philadelphia because what does Nick Sirianni say? Have you watered those flowers today? And you're going to see plenty of water in Tampa on Sunday. They're calling 90% chance of rain, 20 to 30 mile per hour winds.
Yep, I'm here.
It is coming up ideally for the Eagles right now. You're looking at an incredible rushing team. You're looking at a quarterback that is kind of gone away from that run first mentality, but still is incredibly gifted in that area. And you're looking at conditions that are very favorable to the running team. And don't get me wrong, like Leonard Fournette, his practice window opened back up. Like he's had an incredible season. The Tampa Bay rush defense, that's to say nothing against them. They're incredible. They're very
third in the NFL.
Well.
Third in the NFL.
Yeah. But also, if you look at runs outside of the tackles, I believe they're in the bottom 5 in the NFL.
27th in the league, runs outside the tackle.
Yeah. So right there at 5th worst in the NFL. And in sloppy conditions like that, with a running back room just full of 4 different guys that you can rotate in there, keeping them fresh, it's going to be difficult for them, especially with Tom Brady, who wins games with his arm. And in 20 to 30 mile per hour winds with rain, it's going to be difficult. You saw what Josh Allen and Mac Jones did in that matchup. Everybody was really excited for. Obviously, it's going to be better conditions than freezing cold and 50 mile per hour winds, but still, you're going to see a few deep balls. And look, Gannon, I know you're listening. Big fan of the BSing Sports Show. You're talking about it all the time. This is just more of a reason to press up on these guys. They won't have as good of an ability to air it out deep. Press up on them. Don't give them room in the intermediate to short range, and just force them to win things with their legs and force them to beat Darius Slay man-to-man, Avonte Maddox man-to-man. Who would have thought that I'd be thinking Rodney McLeod man-to-man? But he's come out and had an incredible second half of the season.
Just to piggyback off the Rodney McLeod comment real fast, I think he's had an incredible second half of the season because he's only playing roughly 45% of the snaps every game. That 3-man safety rotation they got going on back there with Marcus Epps and Anthony Harris. Rodney McLeod's taken a huge drop off in his snap count, but his production has gone up because of it. He's just not the same player that he was after tearing his ACL. And, it definitely shows on the field. The more snaps that he plays, the less productive he can be. But I agree.
Yeah, so I'm excited, obviously.
So I'm really hoping not only that Rich or John Gannon watches BSing podcasts and everything like that, but also that he was looking at film from what New Orleans did in the 2 wins over Tampa Bay this year. You're talking a lot of press coverage, a lot of man-tight coverage with a safety in the linebacker box.
Marcus Lattimore has made his career eating Mike Evans alive.
Absolutely 100%. And in my opinion, Darius Slay is a better corner than Marcus Lattimore. So I don't know why you wouldn't have, at least for this specific game, Darius Slay, wherever Mike Evans lines up, Darius Slay needs to be on him.
Well, he has to be because if who else is he going to cover? Godwin's out for the season. Antonio Brown's not there.
You don't want him covering. You don't want Mike Evans facing off against Steven Nelson more than 20 times this game. It's going to be
you don't. But the nice thing about keeping Darius Slay kind of fluid is it's. I'm trying to word it correctly. It kind of keeps it as a mystery. Like you can't. It affects the game plan because you don't know exactly where he's going to be, and you have to make that decision with as little time to develop, your thought process as possible. To where if you know for a fact like he's on there, you can game plan like, okay, he's on this guy 100% of the time. Let's change up our plays to better get these guys open because we know that's going to be a difficult read all game long. Also, Darius Slay only getting 1 All-Pro vote. That
was embarrassing.
Yeah,
that was terrible.
The guy is having an incredible season. If you look at his numbers, like I get turnovers are king in the secondary, but 3 touchdowns plays into it, and the guy the QB rating when targeting him and the receptions and yards he's given up or the lack thereof should speak volumes.
The best thing as an NFL quarterback cornerback is to never hear your name during the game.
Yeah, and we rather unless he's making a turnover, dropping an interception or fumble 6, we don't really hear Darius Slay's name, which is excellent from a cornerback position.
I'll give him a pass on that dropped interception. That son looked pretty brutal.
All right. Ryan, your thoughts on the same question? Like, what do you think are like? I guess we're going to call them small keys to the game here. Because I got another question for you guys, and I think you're going to agree with me.
So I think the improvement of Steven Nelson as the season has gone along, I think with the improvement of teams not throwing at Slay as much has kind of helped Nelson a little bit. So I think that this game is going to be so weird because everything you guys talked about. We're getting Miles Sanders back at full capacity, according to Nick Sirianni, whatever that capacity may be, who is an outside the tackle runner. Jalen Hurts, who can open up the outside tackle running game with, his legs. However, he hasn't been running as much with his ankle injury. Tampa has an absolutely god-awful secondary. They're terrible against the pass, but due to the conditions.
Also, their 2 starting corners were just listed as very questionable, not just questionable for Sunday.
Yeah. No, I mean they've missed some time anyway. Unfortunately, Devin White was activated from the COVID list, so he will be playing. Him and Levante David probably form the best 2 inside linebacker combo in the NFL, which is why they're so good inside the tackle. Then you break down the Eagles defensively. They're probably going to be missing a key piece. I know he's listed as questionable, but it does not sound like Josh Sweat is not going to suit up for this game, which is huge because he's probably been the most consistent edge rusher on this team.
Yeah, in last game, I mean, he was just a different man.
Yeah, and there was such high hopes for him.
Right? Say that again, Jake.
It was a non-COVID illness, correct? That's been holding him out.
Yeah.
Correct.
Did they ever say like what it is, or just non-COVID illness?
It's non-COVID, and my assumption on it is it's the flu because I read somewhere that it was similar symptoms as COVID, but it was COVID negative every time he took the test, so it's probably just the flu.
Yeah.
So piggybacking off of your Josh Sweat comment, is or is not Fletcher Cox the most important in this round of playoffs this weekend?
I'm going to say no. Because it's, as much as we just sat here and talked about Darius Slay covering Mike Evans is not the key piece that we should be looking at on the Bucs offense. It never was. Tight ends have eaten the Eagles defense alive, and it's been some time now that they have eaten the Eagles defense alive. If you do not think that Gronk is going to get this game, you are wrong. Gronk is going to tear this defense apart. There isn't really a linebacker that can cover him, even despite being 32 years old. He's still a great route runner, still a very, top tier talent tight end. Even if he plays 3 snaps this game, his injury history is a little questionable. But with Slay on the outside and the lack of weapons on the outside, like I said, no longer Antonio Brown, no Chris Godwin, Gronk will probably be the key piece that Brady's looking to throw out, specifically because of the weather conditions. They can't push the ball downfield. So
you're going to look for that larger body. Yeah.
Gronk is my biggest worry. I'm actually not even worried as much about Fournette as I am Gronk. However, there's certain matchups that favor the Eagles, and there's certain matchups that favor the Bucs. I'll tell you what, though, that 28-22 game was not as close as the score indicated, but the Eagles have been trending in the right direction. This game is going to look a lot different than that game did.
The Bucs certainly let it get closer than it really was most of the game. But let's not forget, they were one terrible taunting call away from having an opportunity to take the lead in that game late in the game. Regardless of the situations that led to it, they could have won that game. Whether they should have or not, What's up?
I said easily, but the Eagles were just too inconsistent at that point in the season. They were still figuring things out. The flower hadn't bloomed yet.
Exactly. They're just starting the watering process. Had to hit some Miracle Grow on it. But a lot of people are saying, like, oh, well, if they just ran the ball more. And I agree. Like, if they ran the ball more, they possibly would have been more successful. You can argue, yeah, you're down 2 scores most of the game. Like, you're going to run away from it. But even when Tampa Bay, in great conditions with a very healthy defense, was on the field, we still averaged. Miles Sanders was the only running back that had carries. Then I believe Jalen Hurts had 8 or 10 carries. I forget which one. Miles Sanders had 9 and Jalen Hurts had either 8 or 10. And Miles Sanders averaged 6.2 yards per carry.
Running backs like Miles Sanders are the weakness of the Buccaneers defense. First off, Jordan Howard shouldn't really see the field this game because he
hasn't been 100% since whatever that injury really was.
He would not do well against this kind of defense. He's a between the tackles kind of guy, and they'll shut that down any day of the week. Miles Sanders is the kryptonite of this kind of defense, and that's why, Ryan Howard never really sat the bench against left-handed starting pitchers because he had home run ability. Sure, he'd strike out. Miles Sanders is going to have a few 2 or 3 yard runs. All it takes is one.
But what are you doing in the red zone? Because I say it all the time, Miles Sanders is one of, if not the worst starting running back in the red zone.
It's got to be Boston Scott, actually.
It's got to be Boston.
I agree.
It's either got to be Boston Scott or even let Gainwell get his touches.
I was going to say, how many 8 to 10 yard touchdowns have you seen Gainwell get? Because he had 6 touchdowns on the season. I want to say like 3 or 4 of them were like between 7 to 11 yards where he just burst through.
Yeah, I think Gainwell is probably the best bet in the red zone. I just don't see Jordan Howard being very effective if he sees the field.
In these conditions, I think Scott was a wonderful name to bring up because I think in these conditions, you're going to see him incredibly involved in the passing and running game because you're not going to be able to air it out very much like we touched on. And you saw in week 18 or week 17 where the Eagles were just using Scott like crazy. I was joking with you, like not starting Scott in the championship. It didn't end up biting me, but it darn well could have because he had an incredible game.
Yeah.
And most of that came from the receiving side.
Yeah, no, he's effective. Both him and Gainwell are similar in the fact that in the red zone, they have an effectiveness in running the ball inside, outside the tackles, and they can catch the ball. So they're better than Miles Sanders in that aspect. Between the 20s, though, it would not shock me in the slightest if Miles Sanders carried the ball 20 times this game.
I'm going to make a bold prediction and say that Miles Sanders actually breaks off a 20-plus yard touchdown run in this game.
Wow.
I think if we're making bold predictions like that, it's going to be 50-plus. Miles Sanders is a straight home run.
There you go. So
if it happens, it's going to be 50-plus.
I'll get in on some of this action.
All right. Next question I got squared up on the docket. Devonta Smith obviously has had a great rookie season for the Eagles. How effective do you think he's going to be with the conditions and everything in Tampa this particular Sunday afternoon?
Not.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I didn't really want to go into too much depth on it because he's played great all season long. As long as you're throwing somebody out there to cover him and maybe shade a safety there, it's going to help the running game.
3 for 35, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, Goddard's clearly the favorite target in that offense. And as I've touched on about 10,000 times a week in this show, running quarterbacks love their tight ends.
That is true. That is true.
And due to the weather conditions, like Brady to Gronk, we'll see a lot of Goddard.
No, I think you're probably right with you're going to see limited, Devonta Smith involvement just due to the conditions alone. You asked me 7 weeks ago, I'd have been like, oh, this game's poised perfectly for the Jalen Reagor breakout game.
Oh, man, you took that from me. I was going to say if Jalen Reagor wasn't James Thrash in terms of catching the ball, this would be perfect. Get him the ball, behind the line of scrimmage, close to the line of scrimmage, and let him run. However, it just has not panned out so far in his career.
However, he sucks. So
however, he sucks. So
it could bode really well for Kes Watkins, though.
Honestly, like your guys' bold takes, I'm going to say my bold take in the receiving side of the ball. Greg Ward will lead receivers in receptions. Maybe not yards, but he's going to have the most receptions.
Okay.
On the Eagles receiving.
He's been on the field a lot for red zone drives. He's been on a lot for red zone drives.
I could see him catching a touchdown.
He's a very good route runner, just like Devonta Smith, but he's not somebody that's going to be really going very deep. So I see him utilized a lot in the short to intermediate game with his route running ability to where they're just going to try to get him in the more towards the middle of the field where Devonta Smith, obviously his feet need to be in the loop because his field awareness and his toe drags are currently unparalleled in the NFL.
All right, so I'm going to bring up Sean Campbell's question again. I don't want him to think we forgot about him. Sean says, "What's up, boys? What's your thoughts on playing Brady? Are you scared because he's Brady, or is it overhyped?" I want to start this one. Let me fire away on this one. So I am not scared of Tom Brady in the playoffs. Here's the thing: in the last 4 years, the Eagles are one of the only teams in the NFL that have beat Tom Brady in the playoffs. Just throwing it out there. Having said that, I realize it's not the same team. It's not the same situation. Oh, I'm pretty sure it was a Super Bowl, like 41-33 or something like that.
That's right.
In Tom Brady's best performed Super Bowl performance.
I think it was like Super Bowl history, the best quarterback performance.
Yes. So, again, and the Eagles beat him in that game. No, I am not scared of Tom Brady. However, I'm not unrealistic as to what Tom Brady is. But as we've already stated, the conditions are really leaning towards the Eagles in this game. Brady is not overhyped. Brady is one of the best quarterbacks in history. He is definitely the best quarterback of his generation. However, if you're looking at one person on the field that you need to stop this week, it's not Tom Brady, as these guys have already pointed out. It's Rob Gronkowski. Rob Gronkowski is the key to the Eagles winning this game, amongst other things, which I will get into on my end when we do predictions a little bit later. But no, to answer your question, I am not scared of Tom Brady, and I don't think he's overhyped in the same sentence.
Here's the flip side of this argument, because we've kind of been hyping up the Eagles. Last year, the Bucs finished 11-5, second in the division, got crushed by the Saints close to the end of the season, and there was no way that they were going to advance to the Super Bowl. They won. They not only got there, they won. Playoffs are a different beast, so nothing's to be taken lightly, regardless of the conditions. Brady is going to come out ready to go. Bruce Arians, Byron Leftwich, and Todd Bowles are going to have the game plans in place. Just because the conditions favor the Eagles doesn't mean that this game does.
No, I mean, we're talking big, talking high. Like I'm focusing on a lot of positives that I have in my head going into this game, but I'd say we're still unlikely to win. Like it's still more likely than not that we don't win this game. But I don't think it's as like I think the line being is it 9 still? I know it opened up at 7.
The 8.5 point spread is completely, absurd.
Oh, I think that's absurd. Like it opened up at 7, and then I was like, I thought even that was like just slightly high, but then to see it jump up to like 9, now I guess it's settled at 8.5. Like I was like, man, get me in on some of that action. If I was, I'm gonna be placing some bets on that line right there, because I certainly think it'll be a close game, obviously a 1-score game. And I'm hoping it goes in the Birds' favor. But to answer the question about, are we scared of Brady, or is it a little overhyped? Look, it's tough not to say that you're scared of a quarterback that has the accolades and the stats that he has. He's not the GOAT. He's a cheater. I'll stand behind that any day of the week. Like he's a cheater, but he's incredibly talented. He seems to always continue to do it. But no, I'm not scared. End of the day, I'm not scared.
This is going to give away my prediction a little bit, but I feel like that this game for the Eagles is going to go a lot like the Chargers game did. Is the defense going to be able to get off the field when it matters?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I also want to do predictions of the rest of the game. So we've done 30 minutes on the Eagles. I want to round it out with our predictions on the Eagles. I want to go last, so I think I'll fire away with the guest. Give us your prediction on the Eagles game, Jake. Go.
It's going to be tough with these conditions. I was thinking earlier, before I really saw the forecast, like way earlier in the week, I was like, man, I'm really hoping when we get in position, like inside that 35-yard range, and it's 4th and 3, 4th and 4, that we're going to be smart enough to take points when we can get them, especially early in the game where we've seen this team get off to very slow starts. In these conditions, though, I feel like they're going to convince themselves they're going to have to go for it on those 4th and short yards when it's not like a field goal of 35 yards or less. And that kind of scares me a little bit, because I really want to see him get points when they have that opportunity to. And Jake Elliott, my boy, I think he can do it in any conditions.
He's had probably the best bounce back season of any Eagle.
Yeah, he's playing at a phenomenal level, and we're going to need it.
Everybody was destroying that extension they signed him to after the abysmal season he had last year.
Oh yeah, he won the Talkin 2-5 Comeback Player of the Year.
Ooh. I missed the episode.
Apologies, I also missed part of it.
Oh no, it's quite all right. He won the Comeback Player of the Year, rightfully so. 90.9 field goal percentage. Really, he only missed one because the one was bad hold and the other was blocked, and that doesn't count. Anyway, I have it coming down to the very end. I do like that. Can the defense get off the field? A number I've kind of had in my head all along is 27-24.
Damn you, man.
But I'm going to switch it up to 24-21 Birds.
Damn you, man. That's what I was going to change it to.
All right, go ahead, Ryan.
So I have the same exact score. I do believe it'll be a 3-point difference. I am not confident that the Eagles are going to win this game. Can they win this game for all the reasons that we said? Absolutely. Betting against Brady in the playoffs, not something that I'm going to do outright. I will say 24-21 Bucks.
All right, fair enough. I'm going to go against you. I am, for the reasons I'm about to state, is because of the conditions and the running ability of the Philadelphia Eagles. I believe we control the time of possession somewhere around 35 minutes, 35 minutes. And if we are able to keep Brady off the field for damn near 3 quarters, I think we have a great shot to win. Does he score on every drive he's on the field? Probably. So I've got the Eagles taking the points, where you're, Jake, saying you're scared that they're not going to. So I've got the Eagles winning a very, very close last-minute ditch effort game, 23-21 Philadelphia.
I like that. I like that a lot. 24-21 Birds, 23-21 Birds, and 24-21 Bucks. So
I don't really know how that happened, but I just scratched my nose and my nose started bleeding.
It happened when you were here a couple weeks ago too.
Yeah,
sinuses. They suck. But
yeah,
like I said, I don't know if you heard me, Ryan. I said we control it.
Yeah, I heard. My counter to that is, let's not forget that Brady played in Foxborough for 20 years. Do we really think that the weather's going to affect him that much?
I'm not concerned about whether the weather is going to affect Tom Brady. I'm trusting the ability of the Eagles rushing defense or rushing offense to stay on the field less than I'm trusting the ability of the Eagles defense to get off the field.
The biggest thing that the Eagles offense is going to have to do, in my opinion, is when they feel that they have a favorable defensive line matchup, run fast pace. Don't allow them to get their guys
fresh legs in.
Like, continue to run fast pace when you feel as though you have that second defensive line unit out there. And
even if you line up immediately and then just wait for the clock to run down to snap the ball to keep time of possession going. This way they're not going to substitute guys in and out. That's what I'm saying.
You can snap it at any second. So
exactly. So the Eagles, I'm telling you, the Eagles are going to keep time of possession somewhere around 34, 35 minutes of this game. They're going to keep Tom Brady off the field. They're going to keep Tom Brady off the field, and they're going to drive down the field with less than 2 minutes on the clock in the fourth quarter. Jake Elliott's going to win the game 23-21.
There it is. I like that.
It's not an unreasonable prediction, but
you're so negative, Ryan. You're so negative.
If you ask Vegas, it is, because if you went minus 1.5 Birds, you're getting like probably plus 240, plus 260 action on that, if not more. Mm-hmm. No, probably way more.
Yeah, I might actually look into it and see what I got going.
You're probably getting like plus 440. I'm gonna pull it up right now. Well, my nose isn't bleeding. I can look it up.
Fire away. While Ryan's taking care of that, hopefully he's okay in the background over there.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna start our predictions for the Saturday games tomorrow. The games start at 4:30.
Beautiful.
We have the Raiders, who just come off the big win against the Chargers, even though they were obviously ready to take a tie into the playoffs. Raiders at 10-7, visiting the 10-7 Cincinnati Bengals. And go. Yeah, Jay.
Look, I saw a funny tweet. It was, there's never been a text message sent about the Bengals winning a playoff game.
That was me.
Oh, that was you. Yeah, I knew it was one of those great follows that I have. Definitely be sure to follow him. And so I see that ending this week. I really don't see the Raiders being able to slow down this offense when you got guys like T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, a pretty underrated Tyler Boyd, in my opinion. I think he's a very crisp route runner, great hands as well. And then obviously Joe Burrow playing incredible. Joe Mixon, he's having a great season, a top 10 season. I just don't see the Raiders. Look, they love their interim head coach, and they're playing for him to basically try and make him their new head coach.
Correct.
But the Bengals are going to take it, and I think it'll be kind of close towards the end. But I see them winning by possibly double digits, if like 8 to 10 plus.
Go ahead, Ryan.
This is an interesting one because you look at the Raiders, especially on defense, and they have no talent like anywhere.
They got Max Crosby.
Yeah, I mean, like outside of Max Crosby, Josh Jacobs, and Derek Carr, name me a Raider. Like Darren Waller hasn't played in weeks.
Yeah.
Like, and somehow they're in the playoffs. They just put up 35 points and went toe for toe with the Chargers offense. Like, so while we can sit here and say the Bengals are easily on paper the better matchup because they have a more explosive team, I'm going to say the Bengals win this game by like 3 points. I mean, mind you, this is the playoffs. The Raiders are one of the top teams in the AFC for a reason. And the Bengals can be prone to turnovers, and prone to not being able to stop the run, which is something that the Raiders do often and pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and say Bengals, but 34-31. I think it's a shootout.
All right, I'm going to go and say pretty much everything that Ryan just said. Bengals are extremely prone to turnovers. Joe Burrow led the league in interceptions this year. Yeah, he had a phenomenal year. I think 4,200, 4,300 yards for the air. I think 32 touchdowns. I don't have his stats pulled up right in front of me, but Burrow had a great year. However, he turned the ball over, I think, 13 times. And that's not including fumbles. That was just straight up interceptions. Joe Mixon has had a fumbling problem his entire career. The Bengals are susceptible to turnovers. Now, having said that, the Raiders have lost the turnover battle in almost every game this season. And having said that, they're still 10-7. So I think it's a close game too. But I think it's more of a 34-24 10-point close game. But it'll be close until the end is what I'm getting at.
That's exactly kind of where my head was at. Also, if you were to place a bet, Eagles -1.5, if it was, you were looking to have them win by 2, you're looking at plus 300. If you place it -2.5, which would be, the spread I have them winning by 3 is plus 330. So you can.
So when are we doing that?
Right as soon as we get off.
Okay. I'll throw some money on it.
Yeah,
it can happen. I think it's realistic that can happen. Just because I picked the Bucs doesn't mean there's no way the Eagles win. I'm not going to sit here and say that. I mean, like I said, it's the NFL playoffs. The best team.
If you do that and you throw in your Miles Sanders like same game parlay, Miles Sanders,
50
touchdown of 30 or more yards, you're looking at like a plus 1,000 there easy.
And both of those things are attainable. So.
And again, bold prediction. It happens for Sanders this week. He gets his first touchdown of the season, and it's on a huge breakaway home run.
Nice.
Yeah, he's due for one. So
yeah,
why not have it be against probably the best run defense of the last 3 years?
Oh yeah, didn't stop us against the Saints.
That's right. That's 100% correct. Next game on the docket, Sunday Night Football, and this is going to be a great game. They split the season series. It's a division rivalry game. You got the New England Patriots at 10-7 visiting the Buffalo Bills at 11-6. As my mother has been nice enough to point out to us this evening, the conditions in Buffalo are not going to be ideal for anybody. -4 to -12, anywhere between 18 to 24 inches of snow. It's going to be one of those ground and pound games, and that does not favor the Buffalo Bills.
Devin Singletary is getting hot, man.
I know. I was just about to say that. Devin Singletary has been playing really, really good, and because he's playing better and they made him the number one, Josh Allen is also rushing for 78 yards a game the last couple of games. So having said that, I'm still going Patriots here, which is unfortunate because I'd much rather see the Buffalo Bills get a win. But the Patriots just have such a better running attack. Damian Harris, they got Bolden, they got Ramondre Stevenson, who's back. They're just gonna do. Bill Belichick's gonna have the right game plan to fight off that Bills defense. It's gonna be another low scoring, close game. I've got 17-13 range in there, but it's gonna be unfortunately the Patriots.
I disagree.
Good.
One, we all assume that Bill Belichick is known for shutting down the other team's best weapon. However, the last time the Bills and the Patriots played, Stephon Diggs ate that entire defense alive. He did whatever he wanted to do in the secondary, ran around free, and it looked like nobody ever covered him at any point.
Much better conditions.
Jonathan Taylor, very obviously, they're going to hand him the ball 25 times a game. Ate the Patriots alive, and the Patriots didn't do anything about it. He's slipped up the last the last few weeks in terms of shutting down the other team's best weapon, and I think that's going to happen again. I think Stephon Diggs is far better than J.C. Jackson, who's had an outstanding season. I think Stephon Diggs is just going to get his, regardless of the weather. Josh Allen's going to throw the ball. When you have a cannon for an arm like Allen, -4 doesn't really make much of a difference. And he's got the running ability in the snow. I could still see Josh Allen throwing the ball 20 to 25 times in a foot of snow. So it's true. It's true, though. This is the playoffs. You got to do whatever.
I'd like to see it.
No, yeah. Again, I would rather the Bills win. I was not happy when I sat down and looked at this game and went through what I thought was going to happen. I like your prediction. I disagree with it.
It really all depends, because if the Bills get out to some kind of lead, there's no way that Mac Jones is going to go toe for toe with Josh Allen. If Mac Jones has had an outstanding season, it's just not going to happen. That being said, I do think the Bills win 17-10.
I like it.
I think the Bills are going to, at least the city of Buffalo is going to start petitioning for a dome there, just because they don't want to waste Josh Allen in the weather. I understand what you're saying. He has an absolute cannon. He's got a tank for an arm. Like
John, real quick, John, to make that comment, Jalen Waddle and Tua Tagovailoa are not Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. It's not.
Yeah, I was going to bring
it's
that up.
not even in the same tier or realm.
Like, look, Waddle had an incredible season. He broke the rookie total receptions record. Like, that's great. But no, it's not. They're not the same. But no, I mean, -4 is tough for anybody. Your muscles start. I mean, like your hands are cold. You feel like you can't even close them very fast. Like, it's just like you got to keep everything moving. I get it's a fast-paced game, a lot of motion, but it's going to limit people more than I think that you are giving him for it. I think it's going to be pretty difficult to see him just continually throw the ball. I do see it being a run-heavy game. It's going to come down to who can stop the run better. I'm just going to say it because it's the one I would much rather see. I'm going to say a Bills in a low-scoring game. You're not going to see, even though Tyler Bass is one of the best kickers in the league, had a late slump to the end of the season, but started out incredibly hot. It's going to be extremely difficult for him to kick in a foot of snow just to get footing and everything alone. So it could be something as low as like, and I'm just saying 16 because they go for 2 and avoid the PAT, like 16-13 or something like that with no field goals. But I'm talking like missed PATs or missed 2-point conversions.
I hear what you're saying about the weather. -4 sucks. However, you don't feel -4 as much when you got the adrenaline of a playoff game going. Especially with how wild that crowd is up in Buffalo. The worst thing
guys with their shirts on right there in the game. Like
the worst thing that's going to happen to them is halftime when they stop moving.
Yeah.
Next game, because we've already done the 1 o'clock game, which is the Eagles and Buccaneers. Again, 23-21 Eagles. 4:30 p.m. game. You got the San Francisco 49ers visiting the Dallas Cowboys. This is, in the history, they've had some of the best playoff games in history. The Dallas Cowboys, San Francisco 49ers, are talking Montana, Aikman, Young, Rice, Staubach. You're talking some of the best playoff games in NFL history have been played against these two teams. I don't think this week disappoints. It will not be on those levels. However, this is going to be a good game, and I even believe it comes down to overtime. I unfortunately think that Dak Prescott gets a playoff win here. However, it's not going to be a close or not be a small scoring game down there in Arlington. It's going to be somewhere around the 38, 34, 38, 35 type of situation in Dallas. Yeah.
No. I agree. It's going to be very high scoring. The tough thing is what kind of quarterback player you're going to get out of San Francisco. It seems to be very hit or miss. And you can kind of argue the same thing with Dallas with overall team play. What kind of team play you're going to get? You've seen them get shut out by the Broncos, and you've seen them put up incredible performances against the Washington football team. And then their 2022 Super Bowl against the third-string Eagles. Got a little bit too excited for their performance on that, both the players and the fans. So
the nation, even sports reporters were way too high on Dallas playing the third string.
Eagles. I was like, guys, calm down. Like, really? And I think it says a lot more about their worries about their preparedness and readiness for the playoffs. The fact that they went 3 full quarters, I think that kind of speaks volumes to that team over there. I say it all the time.
I'd like to remind you that for half of that football game, the Eagles were in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, and I'm hoping and praying that their OC and DC both get taken and that Mike McCarthy stays, because I think he is an awful head coach, and I think they're really doing well simply due to their offensive and defensive coordinators. In was it Kellen Moore and I'm blanking on the defensive coordinator's name. I know he's a large name.
It's Quinn, isn't it?
Yeah, Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn.
So I think that's largely their success is based off of that. So I do see the Cowboys winning this game just because of those two guys right there. I think Dan Quinn and Kellen Moore are going to prepare their team pretty well. You know, Micah Parsons is having a rookie defensive season for the ages. Niners are a little bit too inconsistent. Could they win the game? Sure. But I think the Cowboys will, and it's setting it up great for the Eagles-Cowboys NFC Championship.
Ryan?
3 words to describe the Cowboys: boom or bust.
Yeah.
Everything about the team is boom or bust. There was one point where 3 straight games, the Cowboys defense forced 4 turnovers each game, and the offense scored 28 points or less every single game. They could not get the ball moving. Dak couldn't figure it out. Kellen Moore, while he comes in with a great game plan, it seems as though if it's countered properly, he makes no good adjustments. He's not a very good adjuster. They kind of stick with what they already had, and that's why you kind of see games where the Cowboys offense looks flat the whole game. That being said, Jimmy Garoppolo is very, very suspect. Actually, I do believe due to the boom or bust nature of the Cowboys defense, and this isn't going to happen, and I'm not saying it will, but Trey Lance would probably be a better quarterback to face against the Cowboys because he's a boom or bust quarterback. So it really depends. The fortunate news is that the 49ers, have an array of weapons that they can throw the ball to. Kid will be healthy for this game. Debo has been running around like a madman. The way that they utilized him this year has been to his fullest potential. And even Brandon Ayuk has come on a little bit strong at the end of the season. Now they started pushing the ball downfield a little bit more. Elijah Mitchell. It's weird seeing a lead back in a Kyle Shanahan offense. Somebody that actually gets 20 carries a game. Lo and behold, it was the 6th round pick and not the 3rd round pick, Trey Sermon. But we've talked about that on previous episodes.
We have, yeah.
This is good. I see this game into the 30s. I do see overtime. I see something crazy happening. I do see an upset. I see 34-31 49ers.
Man, I hope you're right.
Neither one of you guys have touched on the fact that the 49ers started this year 3-6.
Yeah.
And what are they at? 10-7?
10-7.
They're one of the hottest teams in football that nobody's talking about.
Yeah, beat a good Rams team.
Yeah. They play well against very good teams, especially on the road.
That's true.
So I see – I mean – as much as we want to give Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn the credit that they deserve, Kyle Shanahan is a mastermind, except that, running the clock out in the Super Bowl. But
yeah.
All right, next game. So this is such an interesting game, right? Ryan and I have talked about this all season long, literally week in and week out. The Pittsburgh Steelers go to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Steelers are an enigma. They play good against good teams and absolutely horrendous against bad teams.
They started out the season by beating Buffalo in Buffalo.
That's exactly my point. They play great even against good teams and then play absolutely abysmal against bad teams. So again, 9-7-1 Pittsburgh Steelers, Roethlisberger on his way out. They're hoping for some huge swan song, and that'll be the story around the whole entire game. The new up-and-comer Patrick Mahomes, the old guy, Ben Roethlisberger on his way out, swan song situation. I don't think it matters. Chiefs by 20.
No way.
Yeah. Maybe not 20, but Chiefs double digits.
Chiefs something like 16-13 because exactly what you said. Steelers are some enigma Nobody gets it. I think the Chiefs win. I think this game's like 20-17 or something like that. Something crazy is going to happen. Patrick Mahomes is going to get picked off twice or something, or he's going to get sacked 6 times. Some craziness is going to happen where Deontay Johnson runs wild in the secondary. Something weird is going to happen where the Chiefs don't blow out this team like they should. I do think the Chiefs win, but I think that this is with it like 7 points or less. Like doesn't shock me in the slightest that would happen for all the reasons that we mentioned. Like Pittsburgh just plays good against good teams. Mike Tomlin will have them ready to play.
Man, you take Birds -1.5, Miles Sanders. Like I'm just thinking of a parlay here. You could make a lot of money this weekend, man.
Yeah, I mean, I might have to do it, but
those of you listening, we want to cut.
You take Chiefs, or you take.
If you think about it, like the Steelers, they went toe to toe with the Bengals. They beat the Bills in Buffalo. Like something is wrong with the Steelers. They are an odd team.
Yeah, but in Week 16, the Chiefs went to Pittsburgh and beat them by 40 points.
Okay, and in the Super Bowl, the Seahawks blew out the Broncos, and then like 4 weeks into the regular season, that game went in overtime. What the hell does that really mean?
All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
Oh yeah, Chiefs by a bunch. That's just my take.
Yeah, I do think the Chiefs win. I just think that the Steelers do some craziness like they've done all year, and this game is not nearly as far apart as it should be.
Okay. Last game for the first week of playoffs. There's a Monday night game for the first time in history for the playoffs. You have the 11-6 Arizona Cardinals going to the 12-5 Los Angeles Rams. Rams coming off that loss to the Niners when they very easily could have won. Cardinals have been a little bit shaky here as of late. Started off the season.
Haven't been great either.
Oh, I know. Cardinals start off the season, I think 8-1, 8-2. Rams were same situation. So I think it really just comes down to quarterback play here. And for me, it's Matt Stafford over Kyler Murray. Ryan, you and I texted about this the other day with Timmy. For me, in this scenario, Matt Stafford, I know the story's always been around him. Never won a game in Detroit, a playoff game in Detroit. Never won a playoff game in Detroit. Well, let's not forget that Detroit has just been absolutely horrendous for many, many years. This Rams team is significantly better. Sean McVay is better than any coach that Matt Stafford had and has ever had, including Jim Schwartz, who won the Eagles a Super Bowl defensively. And I'm saying it loud and proud.
I don't think he really did much to win the Eagles that Super Bowl. Brady tore his ass up.
We're going to get you the football. Either they're going to score or we're going to get you the football. Word for word. Anyway.
Drive.
Huh?
One drive.
That's all it takes, isn't it?
33 points. Giving up 33 points does not mean you won anybody a Super Bowl.
All it took was the one turnover. Anyway, going back to our predictions here and not 2017. I'm going with Stafford and the home team with the Rams here, but it's going to be a close game. I think it's into the 30s, 35-31 Rams.
That'd be a great game.
Yep.
That'd be an amazing Monday night playoff game.
That I'll go to bed at halftime on. Yep.
I actually think the Rams. This one's going to be a blowout in my opinion. I think the Rams open this game up. Kyler Murray, in my opinion, is the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. Just look at how he's performed without DeAndre Hopkins. The Cardinals, went on a huge slide right after D-Hop started going on a snap count, not playing games. Chase Edmonds, kind of went out. James Conner went off for a little bit. He's had up and down games. I just don't see Kyler being able to carry this team past a team like the Rams, even though the Rams have had their own struggles. But like you pointed out, I think Sean McVay gets the best of Cliff Kingsbury here. I think the Rams find a way to open up. I see like 35-21.
Jake? Final prediction. You just texted said you needed to
Bill, you and I have been pretty much on the same page most of the night. Ryan, I love the hot takes. I do. Look, everything you're saying is certainly possible, but the most likely outcome, I see it I'm kind of in the range of view of it not ending super close, but I see it being very close up until the end, similar to that, what was I saying, the Bengals-Raiders game where it's going to
You see like 3-point spread and then like something like a pick six kind of makes the score look further apart than it actually is.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that, or like they need to get a stop and they end up letting the team get a touchdown or something like that. Like where it ends up in somewhere in that 7 to 10 point range for the Rams, but it could have easily gone the other way with a few different things here or there. But when you have guys like Cooper Kupp out there, Matt Stafford, even Tyler Higbee's playing well right now, Van Jefferson's lighting it up, Odell's playing much better there than he ever played with the Browns.
I'm curious to see how they utilize Cam Akers now that he got some touches.
He's apparently he's not necessarily on a snap count.
I don't believe that.
And he's also not necessarily 100%.
Yeah, I don't believe that for a second. I see 10 to 12 touches, maybe.
Yeah, and what he does with them, that's what's going to really see. But yeah, again, I see it kind of in that 31 to like 24 range, where it could have been, real close, but something at the end just results in them getting a larger lead than really shows how close the game was. Even though a 7-point game is not that far off.
I could see that probably being the most realistic scenario. I don't know. It's just Kyler without D-Hop has not been
certainly.
No, I agree. Yeah, I'm with you.
Christian Kirk is not a number one receiver on anybody's team.
Neither is AJ Green anymore.
No.
Yeah.
AJ Green's not even a number 2.
You guys got any closing thoughts? Jake, you said you needed to get off here in the next minute or so.
Yeah, I mean, don't go ending it on my account.
No, I mean, we did our thing.
Yeah, I mean,
closing thoughts. Look, birds all day. Things are falling in their favor. It's really going to rely on Jonathan Gannon and what kind of defense he's going to call.
Do we think Jonathan Gannon leaves in the offseason?
I think this game has a huge bearing on that. Even if they lose, but he plays a good defense, he comes up with a good defensive scheme to stop Tom Brady, or at least try to stop Tom Brady. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Sorry. So I know John Gannon had a good game, or I'm sorry, lost my train of thought. Completely lost my train of thought. It's going to be bearing on this game here. If he comes up with a good game plan to stop Tom Brady, or even come close to stopping Tom Brady. He interviewed for the Bears the other day. I think he could leave under that scenario, but if he comes out and he gets blown out by Tom Brady, I doubt it.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, everybody. This has been a wonderful show. Jake, thank you so much for coming on. Those of you who are our fans and aren't Jake's for some reason, I don't know why, follow Jake at Talkin 215. He and Joey put on great shows every week, just like we do. And as always, follow us on YouTube. We have the website. Please get on there. I'm a little behind in uploading our most recent videos, but the website looks phenomenal. Ryan and I will have business cards soon. I ordered them yesterday. Ryan, I know you're excited for that. As we've been saying for weeks now, big things coming from BSing Sports, and we hope everybody has a great night and a great weekend, and go Eagles 23-21 kickoff. Jake Elliott, I'm saying it.
I like it.
Have a good one, everybody.
Thanks, guys.